Okay, so now we're done with step 34. We're going to jump into 35. Now we're doing our LEDs on our project. So we're going to come back to our side one board. Flip that over. And we're going to put all the LEDs on our side one board. I'm going to bring this in closer. So we've got to make sure that with these, remember the flat side is our negative side, the rounded side is our positive side. And then with our LEDs, the short lead is the negative, the long lead is the positive. So short goes to flat, like that. So push that through and bend it back on the back side, just like that. Guys, can you hang on for a few minutes? Okay, so when we get down here, you're gonna start having issues with the wires in between the LEDs. So just kind of try to guide those down so you can get your LEDs through there. So short side to flat side, like so. Guide the wire around it. And we don't have to bend these a lot. It just has to be bent a little bit to hold it in place. And you've got to pay attention to which direction you're putting the short wire and the long wire, because as you can see, it changes. Like all these are on the bottom, these are all on the top. So you got to make sure you're putting them in the right spot. And you want the LEDs to sit as flat on the board as possible, which that'll be more important once we flip it over and start soldering. Okay. All right, so I've got all those pushed through. I'm going to kind of work my board a little bit to make sure that they're down flat. And I'm going to bend them just a little bit more to give them a little bit extra pressure. I'm trying to get all my wires to be underneath the leads up there, so they can kind of keep them together, because we don't want the iron to be hitting the white part of the insulation, which will expose the wire and then cause us to short circuit later. So we're going to try to avoid that. I guess give my iron just a little bit longer to heat up. Now, I notice the LED pads are little small oval shaped pads. So we don't want to put a whole lot of heat in there and leave it for a long time. We want to just kind of get in and get out as quick as we can. So I'll get my tip tinned a little bit, then iron to the pad and component, then the solder to the tip of the iron. And it's still heating, so it's not doing that well. There. Now we want to make sure that we don't bridge that space in the middle, or our LEDs won't work. So there's those three. And this process will be a little bit longer because you've got to be more careful with making sure your LEDs are flat and making sure we don't hit those wires. Now, could we have done the LEDs first before we did the wires? Yeah, that's possible. But the issue with doing the LEDs first before we have the wires is then we'd have all these trimmed pieces, which tend to be kind of sharp, and we would have ran a pretty good risk at cutting or punching through the insulation during the wiring process if we did that. I might go back to the, we'll leave it like that. All right. So I've got all this soldered. I didn't touch any of my wires. Now I can come back through and trim it, which will be easy on this bottom side. And we got to make sure we don't trim or cut our wires when we get close to those. Okay. So that completes step 35. I will see you in step 36.